Thanks for joining us. This is Live with the Miami's Community News, and our guest today is Riccardo Francois, who's the Vice Senior Lending Officer at University Credit Union.
That's correct,
You're also like a VP over there.
Yes, sir. That's
All right.
correct.
So let's talk about University Credit Union in particular. You just celebrated your 75th anniversary.
That is correct.
That's like enormous in a town as young as we are.
Yeah, yeah. So with regards to University Credit Union, we actually started in 1947. A fun fact that would make us one of the oldest financial institutions in Coral Gables in South Miami.
So, and from a placement point of your offices, you have one in Coral Gables and one at Jackson Memorial Hospital. You have one at FIU, and you have one in Kendall.
You missed one.
Which one?
The one in your pocket, right?
The one in your pocket.
Yes,
right
sir.
here.
That's
you can
correct.
get to it. All right, Michael. Right here, you can get to it. All right.
That is correct.
So here we are in this environment where people are not going to banks as much, all right? And remember, it couldn't have been 10 years ago, you'd watch commercials, there's no lines at the banks. And so now people can do their banking on their phone without any particular problem.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, I think the biggest aspect is that not only are people more innovative and we have more technology, people are more financially aware of what's going on. You know, they see that they have options, and just going to that one large private bank where you're just a number, there's options to go around that.
Yes. So we know at Christmas time, each Christmas, the University Credit Union is involved in the community. And so we're going to put up on the screen over here some toys that you raise for kids, and you work with an organization. Why don't you tell us about that as soon as we put the screen up there?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things here for us is that we're very, very big on giving back to our community. One of the biggest things that we do during the Christmas time is what's called Toys for Tots. So with regards to that, it's actually handled by a group of Marines who started it back in 1947. Funny enough, the same exact year we were founded. So these Marines decided just back then to donate toys to those who are less fortunate. To date, I actually looked up the numbers, and they've already helped support over 280 million children since 1947. So,
that is an amazing thing,
yeah.
To do, and you realize at that time of the year that we're so thankful for what we have, and how reaching out just a little bit can make a big difference to that person.
Absolutely.
And I know that people have certainly helped each of us in our lives, and we know that, remember them fondly, right, and thank them for that. So there's some other things that people have been concerned about, and there's been some things in the news recently, unfortunately, that grabbed our attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so recently, University Credit Union participated in active shooter scene.
Yes.
I think we have some pictures of that. Alex, would you put that up?
Yeah,
yeah, we go.
So one of the biggest aspects here is that we're trying to make sure our community stays aware and alert at all times. What better way to reach out to our community than to reaching out to our team and staff on board? What we were able to do here is not only assist with making sure that we are up to date with as much knowledge as possible, but also making sure that our community, with regards to the Miami-Dade County police officers, they were able to actually use this type of simulation and be more to give themselves another opportunity to fine-tune their skills. Of course, they're trained on a daily basis with regards to responses for these things. But if we could at least donate our time, and our effort in our facilities in a ways that they can stay ready to go. And as you stated, this recently, unfortunately, this continues to happen. And this is something that recently happened, if I believe it was in California. So what better way to keep our community and our first responders prepared?
So in this case, the police and the firefighters were able to practice what it would be like. And that happened to be at your facility.
A full-time simulation. So we would go ahead and allow them to come into our facility. They give us a breakdown as to how to be aware at all times, what to be looking for, what social cues to look at. And then after that, they actually go through a rundown of an active shooter situation.
And it is sort of spooky, and people really, keyed up for that. And hopefully there'll be a lot less of that soon. And let's go back, if we could, to you had some, Alex, another picture of some other gifts that we missed. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us again about this.
Yeah, so once again, Toys for Tots is big time for us. There's plenty of people who are unfortunately less fortunate in these times, with regards to funds to just give toys, simple toys. This is something that, I don't know if you remember, but when I was younger, I can remember every first toy I got, you know, so it proves a very important thing to have for a kid in their growing up stages. So yeah, one of the things that we do is we reach out to our community, see if they'd like to donate, but we as team members and staff members, we all donated our own funds to make sure that we get as many toys as possible. I wish I had the picture there, but I believe they came in two big cargo vans, and we were able to fill them up to the brim. So it's something that we definitely do every year.
That's wonderful, to do that. So on to the essence of a commercial lending establishment. You have a lot of different programs. Let's talk about the boat show that's coming up. And when is that? In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's actually going to be next month, February. Right. That's going to be February 15th.
I think we have a picture of. Here we go.
Yeah, that was us last year. Yeah, we actually had a really great time. There's a lot of different retailers out there, but us as financial institution, we predicate ourselves on being out there in the community. A lot of times what people tend to do is they're going to go to much like an auto dealership. So they'll go to a boat dealership and they'll try to find the boat of their dreams, but they're not really getting the financing of their dreams, right? So we try to make that dream happen. So with regards to actual boat financing, it's very similar to vehicles. We try to finance certain loan to values. We can do 100% depending on different criterias, but we can do less, of course. But yeah, the boat show is going to be something that we're going to be at live. I'll be there myself. So if you want to come by, say hello. I'm going to be at booth 6135. It's upstairs in a retail pavilion. But yeah, boats is a big thing in Miami.
So cars typically, length of financing for cars is what's the average range?
Currently, average range is actually 66 months, so that's about 5 years and a half.
What about boats?
Boats, so the great thing about boats, of course, they're not the great thing, they're a bit pricier, but the great thing for us is that we're actually able to finance them for a longer term. So we have boat possibilities for 10, 15, even possibly 20 years.
I was on a friend's boat that happened to be about 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I don't know, $700,000.
Oh, yeah. Boats can get pricey, yeah.
Right.
So
forget about how much the dockage is.
Yeah, that too, of course, gas places. And all those things, right. Yeah.
So let's talk about, in today's environment, especially in Miami-Dade County, we see so much building is going on,
of course.
Right? Lots everywhere. You have homes and you have the commercial buildings, you have apartment buildings, you have office buildings, everywhere we look. And some people during the COVID pretended it wasn't going on.
Yeah.
No, it was going on.
Yeah.
And some people said, when did that 3 stories go up? You know that 180 days you stayed at home, that 300 days? That's when it happened.
There you go.
So tell us about money that you have available for commercial loans. Can we put that up on the screen?
Yeah, so most definitely we are a big proponent on doing financing for commercial real estate here in our home, South Florida. We can actually do it anywhere in the state of Florida, but what we're trying to predicate is that we are here for our community. Now, a lot of people tend to get intimidated. They believe commercial real estate is only for the bigwigs, so to speak, those who are multi-million-dollar companies. But no, we're here for our small business community here in this area. So you may have certain people who are small business owners of a coffee shop, of a gymnasium, CrossFit, what have you. If you own your property, or you're trying to buy the property that you've been leasing and doing so well in, reach out to us and we can see if we can set up a plan for that.
So, Riccardo, for many years we had a very low interest rate across the board,
Mm-hmm.
and so lots of times there's this shell shock, all right? And I know that this is making up for the low rates,
Of course,
right? And so it seems like people are just finally getting to the point. Okay, this is what it's going to cost, all right? We had a great deal. It's like cheap gas.
Yeah.
You know what's
Yeah, of
coming
course.
after the cheap gas. You know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to go
So
up.
some people have that ideology of it being the sunken cost already. It already happened, and this is the new normal. What I would say to that is that in regards to anything commercial real estate, you are going to be taking into account not just the property that you're working at, but all your other expenses. We take into account the need for commercial real estate. But we also do other types of business loans with regards to accounts payable, equipment loans. I'll give you a perfect example, not to make mention of any businesses, but if you are, let's say, looking for a equipment vehicle loan for, say, a tractor, or those who live in homestead that have tractors for their farms or what have you, we can actually do those type of equipment loans.
So, if we could, let's get back to the commercial loan. So somebody owns some property, all right, maybe that's an old building, they're going to tear it down, they own it, they want to put it back up. What's the length of term, that's sort of norm in this process, and and the range of rates, if that matters.
So it's a great question. The best answer I could give you is that it's very flexible. So we have certain conditions where a person is actually looking to maybe just get land, tear down something that's already there, and do a full out construction. That would be considered a construction loan. And then we can term out how long it would take to do so. Are they looking for it to be a flip, so to speak, or are they looking to actually establish something and have their own business there? So those are different aspects to a commercial loan.
And so, and different than a residential loan.
Yes.
Do you make first mortgages, or you only do second mortgage or equity as far as homes?
Homes is different. I mean, we do work with a third party with regards to first mortgages. In regards to home equities, we do those as well. So anytime you're looking to get equity out of your home, whether it be a line of credit advance or a fixed home equity, we do both.
And tell us about the car business right now.
So it depends on what you're looking at. We definitely have seen a fluctuation with regards to used car vehicles. At the height of COVID or the pandemic, there was a spike in the value of those
Yes.
cars, and the reason being is because new vehicles were a bit harder to find. Manufacturing with the semiconductor chip being a bit scarce, the new cars were just impossible. But the used cars were holding value because they were the prime targets
Right.
of sales or refinances. At this point, we're seeing a tick slowdown or evaluation on the used cars, and the new cars are becoming more and more ready available. So that's something that we expected to happen.
And it's going to sort of balance
Of
out to
course.
some new norm. I'd see some of the big tech companies are laying off people.
Yeah.
Somebody announced a 10,000 layoff.
Mm-hmm.
They hired 50,000 people during the pandemic.
Correct.
All right. That's no different than what happened with Zoom. People were at home. This is what happened. And companies are now saying, come on back.
Yes.
Come on back to the office.
Yeah,
right?
at the end of the day, when it comes to the whole Silicon Valley sector, it's a different pace as to what is going down here in the South Florida region. They went ahead and did a prediction that unfortunately just didn't pan out for them, and that's why they're recalculating or readjusting with regards to employment.
So we know the south end of the county, meaning South Dade, is going to be going under a renaissance. We have a group that bought the Southland Mall. They're going to, in 7 years, they claim they're going to have $1 billion in there. They first got
So I
approved
hear.
for a couple hundred apartments. It's going to be a true town center, drawing people there. We know that Homestead is still trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And maybe the busway, now called the BRT bus, whatever. Sorry, guys. All right. Maybe that's going to help this connection. And we understand that when there are no roads, all right, we keep people in and we keep people out.
Correct.
This may help some flowing. And also the county's improving the zoning in the county as far as their zoning for apartment buildings.
Oh, wow.
All right. So that's going to allow less parking within a certain distance from the busway to try to get people to there. Does University Credit Union lend money on apartments?
Yes, so apartments or condos, so to
Okay.
speak, would be a certain type of home equity loan that we can do most definitely.
And as far as, I want to make sure I understand it, is a construction loan a commercial loan?
Depending on the use of the property. So if you're talking about certain people do what's called a construction loan for their primary residence, that's a different aspect that we don't technically look at right now. If you're talking about to doing a construction loan because of a business,
Yes.
then yes, yeah, that's one of the things that's possible for us. Correct.
So, and why do people go to a credit union versus a traditional or the old style bank?
Well, not to sound too repetitive, but the biggest aspect for us is that we are for the community. A lot of times you'll go to a private bank and you're just a number. They're looking at this parameters of do you make X, Y, Z in regards to money, credit. But we look at those factors, not to say we don't, but we look at other aspects as well. The biggest proponent is that we want to make sure that we can paint the picture to make sure that we're servicing you in the best way possible. There'll be often times where a private bank may take on a deal for you that may not actually be advantageous for the actual member, or for them, they would call the client. We, as your advocate in the community, we're making sure that not only are we assisting you, but we're making sure that you have a layout as to what the plan is going forward for your business.
There are some organizations that do, reach programs that reach out to people. I know that University Credit Union does that.
Most
right?
definitely.
And I see you at a lot of our events,
Yeah.
right? We've done these type of things before, but it really says that you're trying to reach out, and I see with the Toys for the Tots and the active training, and I want to thank Michael and Albert for I'm not wearing them today, but for my socks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Well,
Right? I'm not sure what they're called, but there are a lot of different colors. So thanks, guys.
yeah,
We
we're big on our
appreciate that.
socks over at
Right.
university.
So, if we could, let's talk about the on the boats again.
Mm-hmm.
Boats range, in case you haven't known, it's hard to buy a boat that's inexpensive.
Unreal.
All right.
Unreal. Yeah.
Yes, and they get really pricey, really fast.
Yeah, so the greatest thing about boats is that it's depending on what you want to do with it, right? Some people use their boats for leisure, some are big time fishermen. We look at every aspect for boats. Depending on the type of boat you're looking for, the type of pricing it will be connected to that. Certain boats, depending on the actual footage, may require a bit more scrutiny as to what we would need to actually get that qualified, approved, reviewed, and what have you.
So, and there's a review process that people
course.
submit the paperwork. They could do it online. If
And
they
once
wanted
again,
to do it.
yeah, so like I stated before, we do have those other branches that you mentioned, but the biggest one being our mobile branch, ucumiami.org. I believe there's maybe a ticker down
Oh yeah,
showing
down on
it.
the can we get that across the bottom there?
Perfect, yeah.
I was talking to some folks over at Miami-Dade College. Thank you for educating so many people. And I started asking the numbers they had in each campus. So they said, this is downtown, this, and then our online campus is. I said, say that again? They said, yes, our online campus.
Beautiful.
And it was like, oh. It was like the startling awareness that that is a real thing. It's not like.
There you go.
And when I was at FIU, I was in the external degree program,
Oh, yeah?
which was the predecessor to anything online. They didn't know what to do with me. Stay home and mail it. And
That's a
stay
good
away.
one.
So it adds such validity to that. And imagine 10 years ago, and that might not have happened. So as you put on your genie hat, what are some changes, some improvements that can happen in the banking and money field in the next 10 years?
So what I will say is that University Credit Union ourselves, we are very big on innovation. So we always look to see what can be done, what's out there, what we've seen. The biggest aspect, of course, is the accessibility of different things. Now, granted, will there always be a need for branches? I would say so, because we understand that we do not want to, say ostracize certain folks who really want to have a person there available. Sometimes, I'm sure you've had those times where you're calling customer service and it's number 1, then 5, then 6, then 8. Exactly. So we definitely don't want to lose that special touch. We are a community credit union first, so we want to make sure we have that aspect. But with regards to innovations, there's always going to be new different innovations, ways of verifying membership, members' transactions. Would there be possibilities where somebody can, verbally make a conversation with somebody through chat? There's times where I believe you can go to different companies and you can chat your question, and then you'll have a live chat group.
Yes.
So that's something we're looking into. There's different aspects, but I would say that with regards to innovation, we're pretty up there, to speak.
So one of the things that we do recognize is people of my age group, when they get frustrated, they really want to talk to somebody. Because in 45 seconds, somebody listened and somebody can take care of it. All right?
Well, I think that's every age group. I myself, for example, I same thing. Maybe I'm calling for the AT&T or what have you, and I want to speak to somebody. So yeah, where I think everybody, that's a human nature in us all.
I certainly have not thrown my phone yet. Right? So again, if people are looking to purchase a car, new or used, you can
Yes.
help them there. Commercial loans of all sorts.
All
right?
types, yeah.
Boats.
Yeah.
Equity loans on their homes.
Yep.
And a friendly face.
Always,
right? And
always. One of our biggest aspects is that community outreach portion. Whenever you're going to a branch, it's a big point that your question is answered, and then we're actually, if we could be so kind, is to ask you certain questions to see if there's anything else that can be done. As you mentioned about the whole 360 outlook, we try to make sure that if we're assisting you, let's say on a auto loan, if you have other loan, whether it be credit cards, maybe we can do a balance transfer. We have a great credit card promotion.
Alex, could you put up the commercial loan and put that on the screen so people can take a look at that? So I'm sorry. So go.
Yeah, so we have different aspects with regards to all of our loan products. We have the commercial loan aspect for any of those who are small business owners. Even if you are technically a national, but you're residing in South Florida, we can possibly assist in doing refinances on your properties.
Give us some history, if you would, about credit unions when they first started. How did that first start?
So the biggest aspect about a credit union, it would have to have been a decision made by the community itself. Perfect example, University of Miami, our is what created University Credit Union. 1947, I believe it was August of 1947. A couple of employees at the University of Miami decided, hey, look, we're going to make our own financial institution. We're going to make this credit union to help service our team here, our staff. And then down the line, we opened that up to the university, to the whole Miami-Dade County.
So your Coral Gables branch is right across. Actually, there's university all around you.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Especially across the street,
That's
but all around you there. And it's a beautiful building, one-story building, and it's very attractive.
We keep it nice.
I drive by it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I think of Michael Welch and Albert Rose all the time when I do that. All right, so cars, boats, equity loans.
Credit cards.
Credit cards. You
Yeah.
have your own credit cards?
Yes, we definitely have our own credit cards. Traditional or reward. So we definitely have both. Some people are interested in having the ones with the reward aspect, and some just want a credit card but that are fixed. That's not something you hear about too often, especially with the fact that as the Fed rates rise, certain interest rates rise. We have a credit card where it's not linked to the Fed.
So I know a fellow that had an adjustable rating, and in the first 15 years, it never went above 3.9. Now it's at 5 something.
Look at that, yeah.
All right?
That's it.
And so I tell them, look at it this way. All those years that you were paying 2.9, so if you took it over the
There you
lifespan
go.
of your...
Aggregated.
Yeah, and you go, so it went up a tenth of
A tick.
a little tiny thing. Yeah, but now it's, I say about a year ago,
Yeah.
right? So we all sort of get accustomed to that and figure out what to do.
Of course, the new norm.
And tell us about the staff that you work with.
We have a great team. As you are aware of, Michael Welch is our CEO, awesome, phenomenal person. We also have our president and COO, Albert Rose. I work with a bunch of very, very smart people. They know what they're doing, and I think the biggest portion of working at a place is a willingness. You know, everybody's willing to help, everybody's willing to assist, and that bleeds into the membership. So if everybody at the staff level or the team level is willing to help each other, it just makes normal, common sense that somebody jumps in from into one of our branches. All we have is open hands to assist.
I saw some pictures back during the pandemic, and they were at work with their masks on. It was like, and it's a wonderful thing to be for an organization be acutely aware of how other people might feel.
Most definitely.
And certainly we learned a lot with that. You know, it's been 3 years, all right? And it's like
Time flies, doesn't
right.
it?
It's just like really.
Yeah.
I remember the last event we did, all right, and we said, why are there less people here today? That was back March,
Yeah.
February, several years ago.
Correct.
So it looks like the future is going to be pretty bright for us here. And we understand that people might be concerned about the economy. Well, that's true. Pay attention to yourself.
Of course.
And work towards taking care of yourself and your family and be fair to people.
Yeah.
And if they need some money, they can call you.
Just to add on to that, there's going to be a lot of people who are a little bit heightened awareness with regards to the recession or funds in particular. The biggest thing I can always mention whenever I have a member that comes in and asks, hey, Rick, what would you do if I were me or in this financial climate, what are some keys? Personally, I'll give you this. See where you can save. So with regards to your auto loan, if you plan on keeping your car for some time, if you have a boat, if you have any of those different items. Now, granted, I understand certain people are not looking to refinance their mortgage because they were able to lock in low rates. But if you look at it in this aspect, people with high amounts on their credit cards, people with vehicle loans, you can definitely save money with regards to your monthly payment if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for relief on that aspect, come into one of our branches or give us a call.
And they can sit down with you and say, I owe $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 on the credit cards. And you can work and say, this is your average interest rate on all of these.
The biggest portion is that we can show you what it would look like. So a lot of people, they're afraid to ask because they feel as if they'd be sunken into the actual task. If you come to one of our branches, we'll be more than happy to actually look at everything and tell you what's a roadmap forward. There's
an old saying that people would rather talk about their blank, I won't say the blank lives rather than money.
Their money, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And so some people are embarrassed about that.
Of course.
And so they have to figure out on themselves, feel confident who they're talking to. And if they just say, here are all my credit cards, and they're going to look at it and say, wow, that's a bunch. If I finance it like this and behave, you can wind up saving X dollars. And you could tell them in advance, if you do this, this is how much less a month it's going to be.
Correct. We have a strategic roadmap for whenever somebody were to come in and tell us, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. Certain people, they're really more payment driven, so we would be able to have an aspect as to if you were to do X, Y, and Z, this is how you would save this much amount of money every month. And in a time like this where certain people are more about what they can actually draw in each month, we can structure that way. And then there's others who, kind of to the side of your friend, if they're more interest rate driven, right? They don't really care because they always pay over their monthly minimum. If they're more about, I want to save, then we can actually structure it where you're saving in that aspect. So yeah, we're definitely here to help. We have different ways of doing it.
Okay, right now there might be some young person watching, all right? So moms, dads, if you got a son, daughter, age 15 to 20 that's sitting there, pay attention because Riccardo is going to offer inspiration for the future. Look right in this camera there.
Okay, yeah. Well, so one of the biggest things I always make mention to people is that try to make your, I guess you would say your mistakes early. Try to go ahead and make sure that you're going to, personally, I would say go to school, do what it is that you feel yourself passionate about. Try to make your mistakes early, but always try to persevere. And ambition is always going to push you forward. It's been a pleasure, sir.
Riccardo Francois, the Senior Lending Officer at University Credit Union. Folks, thanks for joining us. And remember, University Credit Union is in your pocket.
There you go.
Have a good day, folks.